Yo, what's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be going over the MLB slate on DraftKings and Yahoo for Tuesday, May the 21st. We got a big Tuesday slate, a 14-gamer for this Tuesday. It's a loaded pitching slate, a ton of guys at the top we want to pay for. We got Verlander, Caleb Smith over 10K now, but in a great spot against the Tigers. You have Greinke against the Padres. And then once you get past those top three guys over 10K, there's a lot of good options like Domingo Germán, Kershaw, Marquez, Wheeler, Julio Teheran gets the Giants. So a lot of ways we can go at pitcher. There's even some decent cheap plays you can possibly consider. I'll be sure to cover all the pitchers that I feel like I'm going to be playing. We'll look at DraftKings and Yahoo. We'll talk about my three hitters I'll be looking to with my two pitchers, and then we'll go over some stacks. And at the end of the video, we'll cover BVP plays. Just before we do get started, guys, I would appreciate it if you would drop a like on the video. And if you are new to the channel, make sure you click that subscribe button down below so that way you won't miss out on any of my new videos. Starting off at the top of the pitcher player pool, Justin Verlander is our most expensive option on DraftKings. He's $11,300. Gets a matchup at home against the White Sox. This is obviously a great spot for Justin Verlander. This White Sox team just strikes out a ton versus right-handed pitching. They only have a 3 implied run total right now as I'm recording this video. The only issue I have with Verlander is his price tag. He's $11,300 on DraftKings, and he is $61 on Yahoo. It's very hard to fit Verlander in and get in some stacks that you want. Like, just looking at some of the teams we're probably going to want to stack today, a lot of them are expensive. I guess a cheap team we could go to maybe would be the Cardinals against Homer Bailey. They have a 5.2 implied run total. There's expected to be a lot of rain in this game, so not even sure if that game's going to play. That's something we'll have to keep an eye on. Obviously, we want to get some Astros in versus Dylan Covey, but the Astros are very expensive. It's going to be hard to stack them with Verlander. Even some of the teams towards the top of the list, like the Yankees against David Hess, are pretty expensive. There's a couple cheap bats, but if you want to get a full stack of the Yankees with Verlander, it's pretty much impossible. So that's my only issue with Verlander is his price tag. And there's a lot of other good options that we can consider on this slate for cheaper. So that's why I'm going to be looking elsewhere for my core. Obviously, Verlander's in a great spot, and he is a guy you can pay up for if you're going like with a cheap stack. If there's a cheap stack you like and you want to pay up for a pitcher, Verlander would be my top option. Caleb Smith at $10,400 is also in play for me. He's definitely close to Verlander when it comes to projection. Like, Caleb Smith has been so good this year, and as of late, he's been dominant, just racking up a ton of strikeouts, at least 8 strikeouts in 5 straight games, 8 Ks. In 4 of his last 5 games, had 11 Ks against the Cubs. This is a Detroit lineup that will strike out a lot. It's a very bad Detroit lineup as well. Great spot for Caleb Smith. I think at $10,400, he's another guy you can pay up for along with Verlander. Zach Greinke for me is probably going to be like a secondary play. Just don't see myself playing Greinke over Caleb Smith. I would just rather play Caleb Smith. Or even I would rather save $300 and go down to a guy like Domingo Germán. I think Domingo Germán might go overlooked today, but I really like him here at $9,900 against the Orioles. If we look at his Yahoo price, he's $50, where you have like Kershaw at $51, Greinke $52, Smith $52, Verlander $61. I think Germán's a good play on Yahoo as well. So he gets to face this Orioles team that we know just strikes out a lot, and it's a very bad lineup. 3.9 implied run total for the Orioles right now, which is going to be one of the lowest on the slate, or towards the lowest on the slate once we get all the totals. Germán did just pitch against the Orioles and was absolutely dominant against them. 7 innings, 1 run, 6 hits, got 8 strikeouts, had 29.6 DraftKings points. I would expect a similar performance out of Germán here. He's been great this year just in terms of Ks. He's been able to rack up strikeouts, 7 Ks against Minnesota, 8 Ks against the Orioles, 9 Ks against the Royals, 7 Ks against Detroit. When the matchup's right, you could get double-digit Ks here out of Germán, and I would not be surprised at all. Is he going to outscore Justin Verlander? Probably not, but if he gets like maybe 3-5 less points than Verlander, you could argue that he's the better play for $1,400 cheaper. So that's why I like going to Germán as my first core pitcher of the day. He is definitely going to be a guy that I play quite a bit. You do have Clayton Kershaw for $100 less against the Rays. Kershaw's a guy that you could look to, but his upside is just limited right now. Kershaw just doesn't have the K stuff that he used to have. He had one big game against Pittsburgh where he went for 31 DK points and had 8 strikeouts. But other than that, Kershaw just doesn't have that strikeout stuff that you really need from an expensive pitcher like him. Like, I would rather play Germán for just $100 more. Herman Marquez, another guy I want to talk about, $9,200. It's not the greatest matchup in terms of strikeouts. This Pittsburgh lineup doesn't strike out much versus right-handed pitching, but Marquez is just such a talented pitcher that he is definitely going to be someone I leave in my player pool and I have some exposure to today. I like him a lot at 9,200. Julio Teheran, the next guy I want to talk about. Julio Teheran at 8,500 against the Giants, I like quite a bit. I like him a lot on Yahoo. On Yahoo, he's all the way down here at $37. I think he really stands out over there. He's like the same price as Archer. He's only $1 more than Sonny Gray, only $2 more than Eflin. On Yahoo, really like Julio Teheran. Great matchup against the Giants. Played a lot of Mike Soroka on Monday night. We'll see how that goes. On Tuesday, I'm going to be going right back to the well on these Braves pitchers versus the Giants. This is just a Giants lineup that strikes out so much. It's a bad lineup. It's a great pitcher's park as well. 3.8 implied run total for the Giants, which is towards the bottom of the slate. Really like Teheran here. I think he has the upside. We know Teheran struggles with lefties, but the lefties in your lineup, or in this lineup, are lefties you're not really concerned with. Panic's not that great of a hitter. Dugar's not that great of a hitter. Brandon Belt's a pretty good hitter, so he would be my one concern. Brandon Crawford's not a good hitter. And then the rest of the hitters in this lineup are righties, and Teheran is pretty good versus righties. So I like him a lot here, especially on Yahoo, where he's at $37. Pretty nicely priced over there. But the cheaper guy that I like to go to on DraftKings to pair with Herman, you can go to Chris Archer at 8K against the Rockies. Getting the Rockies outside of Coors Field, definitely a team you can pick on. Don't mind Archer at 8K, but I think I would prefer Spencer Turnbull for $200 less against the Marlins. Spencer Turnbull really stands out to me on DK with his price of just $7,800. Turnbull's been good this year, and he's shown upside that he can get strikeouts. He's got a 7K game against the Royals. He had 10 strikeouts the other time that he faced the Royals, and now he gets to face this Marlins lineup that does have plenty of strikeouts in its lineup, and arguably is the worst lineup in baseball. I don't even know if that's an argument. The Marlins definitely have the worst lineup in baseball. And they also have a very low total for today, a 3.8 implied run total. I think both pitchers in this game are great plays. Smith and Turnbull I like a lot. Won't really be going to the bats here. There's a lot of righties in this Marlins lineup as well, and Spencer Turnbull does get strikeouts versus right-handed hitters. Only lefties in the lineup are Neil Walker and Curtis Granderson, two guys we're not really concerned with. So love Turnbull at $7,800 on DK. Only reason I didn't include him in the Yahoo core is because he's $43, and you have Teheran for $6 less. So I think I would rather save and go to Teheran. But on DraftKings, where Turnbull is a lot cheaper, I think Turnbull is the better play over Teheran when you just go points per dollar wise. But now looking for even more value that we can consider if you're going under Turnbull and maybe looking for a really cheap option. Sean Anderson at $6,900 at home against the Braves I don't think is the worst play. He made his debut against the Blue Jays in his last start, went 5 innings, 2 hits, 2 runs, 3 walks, 5 Ks. Anderson's not a guy that's going to go out there and just mow down the Braves lineup, but he's pitching in a great pitcher's park. The Braves obviously don't really strike out a lot, so I don't know if the upside's really there for Anderson, but at $6,900, you don't really need him to go out there and get you 35 DraftKings points. If he gets 20 DK points, which is definitely possible, Sean Anderson could be a good value play at $6,900, so he is going to be someone that I leave in my player pool. Low total for the Braves as well, just a 3.8 implied run total for the Braves. So Anderson, as a value, makes some sense in my opinion at $6,900. Michael Wacha, last guy I want to talk about, $6,600 at home against the Royals. The Royals are definitely a team you can pick on with opposing pitchers. They do have some strikeouts in their lineup. Wacha is very cheap, and he's at home in a good pitcher's park. It's also in the National League, so the Royals are going to lose their DH, which is a plus for Wacha. Only concern, like I said earlier, is the weather in this game. Right now it's got like a 70% chance of precipitation. It's projected to have some heavy rain, so there's a chance the game doesn't even play. But if it does play, and if the pitchers are go, then Michael Wacha as a value makes some sense in my opinion at $6,600. But I think Wacha's probably the cheapest guy that I would look to. I guess you could maybe take a shot on Michael Pineda at $6,500, but that feels really risky. Same with Trevor Cahill at $6,100, but that also feels a little bit risky. I'd say Wacha's the cheapest guy that I would consider. So those are my pitchers for today. The pitchers I feel like I'm going to be targeting: Turnbull and Herman I really like on DK, Herman and Teheran I really like on Yahoo. But let's go ahead and talk about some bats. So at first base, I went to Kendrys Morales a lot. I played him a lot on Monday night against Andrew Cashner. He was dirt cheap. I'm going to be going right back to him on DraftKings and Yahoo today versus David Hess. He's $3,600 on DK, and on Yahoo, he's all the way down here at $9. So Morales does have some power, although he's like towards the tail end of his career, and he doesn't have as much power as he used to. he still can take David Hess deep. Hess is one of the worst pitchers, if not the worst pitcher in the majors right now. This dude just can't get people out. He gives up a ton of home runs to both sides of the plate. It's a great hitter's park as well in Camden Yards. Yankees have a 5.7 implied run total for today. The Yankees were one of my top stacks on Monday, and I'm going to be going right back to them on Tuesday versus David Hess. Really like Morales batting fifth for only 3,600. He really stands out to me if you are stacking the Yankees. And another guy that I really like is Gleyber Torres. He's expensive, but I think the price tag is worth it today. 5,100 on DK. On Yahoo, he's not as expensive. At shortstop, he's only $19. I think he's a really good play over on Yahoo. But even on DK, where he's expensive, still love Gleyber Torres here. Facing David Hess, who, like I said, just gives up a ton of power to both sides of the plate. I think Torres faced Hess earlier this year and double-donged off of him. I would not be surprised if we got 2 home runs out of Torres here again. Hess is just that bad of a pitcher. I wouldn't be surprised if the Yankees hit like 4 or 5 home runs as a team today. Like, I could see Sanchez taking Hess deep. I could see Morales hitting 1, Torres hitting 1. I could see Hicks hitting 1. Voit could hit 1. It's just such an appealing stack. You do have some value with Morales. Hicks is 4,700, which isn't insanely cheap, but a decent amount of value. You got Urshela, 45, Clint Frazier, 42. I do like to stack the bottom of the lineup when you need value because people usually don't do it, and you can get upside out of the bottom of the lineup from this Yankees team. Like Clint Frazier does have a lot of power, and he's very cheap at 4,200, even though he's batting ninth. Still think he's a decent play. So I love the Yankees, love Morales and Torres if you're stacking up the Yankees. And then another team I like, assuming the game plays, I do like some Cardinals bats here versus Homer Bailey. Matt Carpenter really stands out at just 4,200 on DK. And on Yahoo, he's relatively cheap as well at third base. He's at $16. So this is a great matchup for Matt Carpenter. Facing Homer Bailey, a pitcher who does give up a lot of power to lefties. Carpenter's been very unlucky this year. Even though the numbers don't show it, like his batting average and his home runs, he's been making a lot of hard contact. It's just the balls he's hitting are going right to the outfielders. He's hitting a lot of line drives. They're just finding a glove. Eventually, that's going to regress the other way, and we're going to see Carpenter hit a lot more home runs, get the ball over the fence. Facing a pitcher in Homer Bailey who will give up home runs, wind blowing out to center at 15 miles per hour. This feels like a really good spot for these Cardinals bats. It's expected to be 71 degrees as well, so relatively nice hitting weather, pretty humid. 5.2 implied run total for the Cardinals. And I do believe that Carpenter has really good BVP off of Bailey. He does 20 for 45 with a home run, so a lot of these Cardinals bats have hit Bailey well, and I do really like the Cardinals today as a stack. I think they make a lot of sense, assuming this game plays. But those are my 5 plays for DK and 5 plays for Yahoo. So let's go ahead and talk about some stacks that I'll be looking to. So my number 1 stack is going to be the Yankees versus David Hess. Love these Yankees bats. Going to be loading up on them again. I think they're a great play today, or a great stack, I should say. Another team, assuming the game plays, really like the Cardinals here versus Homer Bailey. I think the Cardinals have a lot of upside. 5.2 implied run total. Relatively cheap bats as well, like Jose Martinez at 4,200, Matt Carpenter at 4,200, Goldschmidt's only 4,700. You could definitely fit in like Herman and Tehran or Herman and Turnbull and still stack up Cardinals bats, especially if you look to some of the bottom of the lineup guys, because those guys are relatively cheap. But now other teams we can consider, if you can find a way to fit them in, the Astros versus Dylan Covey make a lot of sense. The Astros are just very expensive. If you want to stack the Astros, you're probably going to have to play like Waka or somebody cheap, which I think does make some sense because the Astros just have so much upside here versus Covey. And then I think both sides of this Tampa Bay-Seattle game makes sense. No total on this game yet, but it's a game I think is going to have a pretty high total on both sides. Lance Lynn against the Mariners I think is probably going to struggle here. 83-degree temperatures. It's going to be hot in Texas. We know how that ballpark plays when it's hot. Very good hitter's park. Then Tommy Malone going for the Mariners. Although the Rangers don't have a ton of righties that they can roll out versus Malone, the lefties in this lineup are still pretty good hitters. So I'll be stacking up both sides of this game, but I would say these two teams are probably going to be secondary stacks for me. The Cardinals, the Yankees, the Astros, I guess, are going to be my core stacks, my primary stacks that I have the most exposure to. But let's go ahead and talk about some BVP now. So since it is a 14-game slate, there are a lot of BVP plays to cover. I'm not going to cover every single one. I'm just going to go over the ones that really stand out to me. So Xander Bogaerts, 11 for 31 with 2 home runs off of Marcus Stroman. Joey Votto, 10 for 30 with 3 home runs off Gio Gonzalez. Jay Bruce, 15 for 39, 3 home runs off of Lance Lynn. Jose Abreu, 15 for 41, 5 home runs off of Justin Verlander. Jorge Soler, 4 for 10 with 2 home runs off Michael Wacha. Paul DeJong, 6 for 14, 2 home runs off of Homer Bailey. I mentioned the BVP for Matt Carpenter. Yadier Molina, 20 for 15 with 3 home runs off of Homer Bailey. Buster Posey, 7 for 16, 2 home runs off Julio Teheran. Brandon Belt, 7 for 15, 2 home runs off of Teheran. And lastly, Manuel Margot, 7 for 13 with 2 home runs off of Zach Greinke. Hunter Renfroe also 3 home runs in 18 at-bats versus Greinke. But that's it for BVP, guys. I think that is it for the video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. Hopefully it did help you. If you enjoyed the video, just make sure you click that like button down below. I would really appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe if you have not already, and if you do have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comment section below. Or like always, you can hit me up on Twitter at the DFS_GOAT if you do have any questions. Feel free to leave them in the comment section or message me on Twitter. But yeah, guys, I think that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you in the next one. Good luck tonight. Peace.